So I'm going to go ahead and introduce our workshop speaker for today. Vanessa Cardenas is a betrayal recovery specialist, speaker, author, and trusted expert in helping individuals reconnect with their authentic selves through life's most challenging experiences. With a psychology degree and extensive emotional recovery experience, Vanessa has empowered countless people to foster personal growth, build resilience, and develop more robust, more genuine relationships. Her expertise extends beyond betrayal recovery. She helps individuals embrace their true selves, both in their personal and professional lives, by setting boundaries, communicating effectively, and honoring their unique journeys. Vanessa's blend of professional insight, personal experience, and practical tools make her an ideal speaker on authenticity and connection. She was chosen to speak today because of her deep understanding of human nature and commitment to helping others live with integrity and confidence in all aspects of their lives.
Thank you so much. This is a homecoming for me. I definitely want to thank Lisa, Sandra, and Claire, and all of you for participating today and enjoying this moment with me. Because I don't know if you can feel it, but I can totally feel it. Every single cell in my body is dancing. I can't wait to share with you all of this wisdom that I've curated over the years, especially here, because this is a homecoming for me. Do you remember when you fell in love for the first time? Do you remember that feeling in your stomach? All those butterflies, and you just couldn't wait. Well, I had that. Chestnut brown eyes. They were to die for. And the very first kiss I ever had was on Columbia campus. I was 15 years old, and I looked into those chestnut brown eyes and I melted, and I fell in love.
It's always those eyes.
It's always the eyes. The eyes get you first. They say it's about your physique and what you wear and how you look, but no. Because your eyes are the soul. Go into your soul. That's how you connect with people. And now, regrettably, how do we connect with people? On a screen. Yeah. Everybody's got their head down. Nobody looks up anymore. Nobody smiles at one another. I see you. I see you. So Columbia means so much to me. I grew up on the Upper West Side. Coronet pizza, anyone?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. You can still share it with someone else, a slice. It's amazing. And I had the pleasure of walking from Metro North, 125th Street, to here. And I got to see the neighborhoods that I used to walk as a teenager back in the day. I'm not going to give away my age, but back in the day. So with that being said, today's topic is about being authentic. And as I walked here, I see all the merchants with all their wares, all their goods that aren't real. We want the authentic Gucci bag. We want the authentic Coach bag. But here they are, all lined up. They're obviously selling those wares because they wouldn't be there if they weren't. So with that being said, what is authenticity? It's about being real. How can we be real? How can we? We have so many expectations put on us, so many labels put on us. Female, male, mother, father, son, daughter, brother, sister, you name it. That's just a family. Then we have all the outside labels. We're either a worker or an employer or an employee, a leader, a teacher, a student. We're all students. We're always students. We have so many labels that are put on us. With those labels come expectations. You have so many expectations put on you from yourself and from your family. So today, we're going to talk about how do we shed, how do we take off all those layers to discover us, who we really are, underneath all these layers that we have piled on top of us, all of these expectations we have. So just to let you know also that Columbia means a lot in my family. Although I didn't graduate from Columbia, my brother did. And this, back in the day, was the commencement from 1998. Columbia holds a very special place in my family. And I am so honored and grateful to be in front of you. So thank you. So we're gonna jump right in. So, how do we break through all of these layers that we have on us to become true? Now, you might think you're true. I'm true to myself. I know who I am. I know what I do. But I'm going to invite you to think about it a different way. Are you different with your parents than you are with your kids? Are you different with your work colleagues than you are with your friends? Are you different with your partner than you are with strangers? Obviously, of course. We do it to protect ourselves. We put on a layer, a barrier, to be able to say, here I am, I'm loud, I'm proud. Yay, that's absolutely wonderful. But if we change who we are based on somebody else, are we being authentic? Or are we allowing that person to have some sort of control over how we think of ourselves or how we think they think of us? Ooh, that's a big one. That's a very, very big one. So I'm going to go over 3 different ways to be able to do so. And the first one is a very big one. It's a very big one. It's your boundary. Okay. There are a lot of terms that get thrown around now. There's a lot of therapy speak going on out there. So boundary is one of those words, but it's an important word because we do need to have boundaries. And they need to be crystal clear. Crystal clear. You need to be able to say to someone else, hold up, back up, wait a second. That's not what I want, that's not what I think. So, about a decade ago, I was walking through Central Park with chestnut brown eyes. And he sat me down on a park bench. And he said, Vanessa, there's something I need to tell you. And I turned to look at him, and he said, I've met someone. Boundary broken. Whole boundary broken. In that moment, I completely fell apart. Now, my husband didn't plan it very well. He thought that by having me out in public, I wouldn't react. He was mistaken. How I wasn't arrested that day, I have no idea. I have no idea. I turned into the most vicious Karen you have ever seen. I called him every name in the book. I screamed, I yelled, I ranted, I raved. It was horrific. Not something I would advise to do. But a boundary was broken. Well, in marriage couples counseling, he declared, well, wait a second. We didn't have anything in place. Excuse me? What do you mean we didn't have anything in place? Well, I met this other woman online. We never said that I couldn't communicate with people online. You're right. You're right. We didn't have that. I kind of thought that that was an unspoken boundary. Well, no, in his mind, that wasn't a boundary, not at all. Until our wonderful counselor said, well, wait a second, what if she did that? Oh, suddenly that became a boundary. Yes, that became a boundary. So, with boundaries come expectations of everyone else. In my particular case, that day, we came home from Central Park, and I immediately tell her, my daughter, 14-year-old daughter, tell her what you did. I so wanted to let him have it. And he proceeded to tell her a little bit more gently than he told me. But now the toothpaste was out of the tube. There was no getting that back. Absolutely not. And suddenly I realized that we had judgment. Because when you share or you overshare, you can't take that back. And suddenly you have the judgments of others. And those judgments that you have of other people start to get you in a position where you mold yourself into something else. You become unauthentic. You're no longer real because you have had a catastrophic thing happen in your life and you come to the conclusion, well, this is how I need to act. This is how I need to be. This is what I need to do. And I'm here to tell you that that's not the case. You have every single right to establish a boundary, any boundary that you want. Because I will tell you this, we all have had the exact same boundary. We've all had the very first boundary. Can anybody think of what the very first boundary you had was? That we all share, all of us. Yes, parent. Parent is a good one. I want you to get a little closer. Expand on that. Think about that. Your parent is a boundary. Your parent put you in protective, okay? But you could escape that boundary. You'd get in trouble for it, but you could escape that boundary. This boundary that I'm referring to is the very, very first one we all had. We all shared it. Yes.
Is it your space, people touching you?
Your space, you're getting much, much closer. Much, much closer. So your space. Now, we all don't remember it. And if you do, you and I need to have a chat. Okay? Exactly. In the womb. In the womb was your boundary. You got to grow and stretch and move and absolutely love it. You were always protected until you outgrew it. And then here you are. Beautiful. Beautiful in your own skin. And just absolutely adored and loved and perfect. Absolutely perfect in your uniqueness. And that's what it is. We are each all unique in our own right. We are unique when we are real. When we step into who we are meant to be. Not all the labels, not all of the judgments of everyone else. So we talked about the toothpaste. The toothpaste could not go back in the tube. He had confessed, not only to me, but also to our daughter. Then I realized, wait a second, I don't want everybody knowing. I want to keep it a secret. Like, I don't quite know what I'm doing yet. Don't know if I want to leave, don't know if I want to stay. But now the toothpaste is out of the tube. My daughter knows. And not for nothing, a 14-year-old that just got a brand new cell phone. Okay. Also knowing that I had a Latin mother-in-law. Ooh. And if she found out what her son did, this ruler, she would have let him have it. Because regrettably, she had the same situation happen to her. And what that caused in that generation was that she left. And she decided, okay, with 3 kids, I'm going to be a single parent. I'm going to go to school full-time. I'm going to work 2 jobs. And I'm always going to make sure that there is a hot meal on the table for dinner. Enter me. The love of his life. I wasn't going to do that. I wasn't going to do that at all. No disrespect to my mother-in-law. I give her so much credit. So much credit. But the expectation that my husband had that I was going to be a second mother to him, that wasn't going to be my role. Did I take it on? Oh, yes, absolutely. I tried to be everything like my mother-in-law was until the betrayal. That's when I stepped into who I was meant to be, rather than all of the expectations that were put on me, all of the generational expectations put on me. So we were talking about boundaries. So the reason that I'm holding a ruler is that we tend to have a boundary that is like this. We let everything in. We take a lot of things in personally. We take in a lot of things professionally. We look to Instagram and all of the socials and all of the filters and realize, ooh, I want to be just like that person. And we allow all of that to come in. I invite you to think about it this way. To give yourself some space from all of those expectations, from all of that judgment that comes in. And a lot of that judgment is coming from here. You're doing it to yourself. Yes, you have family members and colleagues and strangers telling you how you should be. And I invite you to think about it this way, to keep people at arm's length. They do not need to come into your space, whether that's physical or emotionally. I'd invite you to take it even a step further and stick it out. I'm not talking about shutting people out. I'm just indicating you have control over who you let in and how you let them in. You have to maintain your boundary. No one's doing it for you. You're no longer in the womb. Yes, we would like to think that our sister or our brother or our mother or our cousin or whatnot will fight our battles for us, because at times we're exhausted. We're exhausted from that. So I'm going to ask Sandra to come up, if she doesn't mind, for a quick second, just for a demonstration on this principle so that you can understand it a little better. Let's give her a hand. All right, beautiful. All right, I get to touch her. I get to invade her space, okay? Now, that's because we know each other. We've met today. We had a conversation. We looked at each other in the eye. We made that connection. Yes, we had initially met over email, so down in our phones, but then we lift our chin up, we look at each other, we smile at each other, we see each other. We allow each other to move into our spaces. Feels good, especially after COVID when nobody was able to touch one another. Now we get to, it's so nice to meet you. Now, let me ask you a different question. Do you ride the train?
No.
Okay. Anybody ride the train? Subway? Okay. We got subway riders here. Everybody else drive? Yeah. Drive. Okay. We're going to use both examples. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. That was it. I needed to show. Listen, you can touch people. You can actually touch people when you allow it. You know that situation when you meet somebody and it's the first time you meet and they're either distracted and they're looking this and that, and they're looking at their phone and this and that, and you're trying to get their attention. And then when you finally do get their attention, they either kind of lean in with some half-assed, fist bump thing, kind of elbow, whatnot, this awkwardness. Because they don't know what their boundary is. And suddenly they're invading your boundary. Okay, kind of thing. So we're gonna go back to the subway. For people that ride the subway, you're in a subway car. There's maybe 10 people in the subway car. You get to 14th Street, the doors open up, 3 people get on, 2 of them sit right next to you. The whole car is empty. Why are they sitting right next to you? Yeah, you suddenly feel that. You're like, okay, what's up with you? Kind of thing. I have the same thing, I drive. I go into my office building on Sunday mornings at 6 a.m. Yes, 6 a.m. Parking lot's completely empty. Completely empty. And I don't do rock star parking. I don't park in the very first spot. I like the middle spot. I do. I like to walk. Get to walk, get to see sunrise maybe. Sure enough, I leave at 2 o'clock. No other cars in the parking lot other than mine, and a person parked right next to me. And I'm like, come on, really? Really? But we feel that. We feel it. It's in our DNA to feel that. We want to protect ourselves. We need that boundary. You need to decide that boundary. What is comfortable for you? Now, notice that I won't use the word comfortable. We have gotten comfortable with being uncomfortable. I'm going to repeat that. We have gotten used to being comfortable with being uncomfortable. Yeah. I invite you, it's okay. Be uncomfortable. Listen to your intuition. Listen to your gut. It has not steered you wrong. You have just stopped listening to it because you have gotten used to being uncomfortable. Step into it. Step into your fear. Listen to yourself. Know what you're comfortable with. Know what you're uncomfortable with. And if what you're uncomfortable with needs to be worked on, meaning you want to step into something else, I'll let you in on a secret. I never like talking in front of people. Ever. Never. I could barely carry on a conversation with more than 2 people. It would never happen. You ask me to present, stand up in front of people? Absolutely not. But I needed to step into it. I needed to learn it. I needed to become comfortable in that uncomfortableness so that I could move past it. Because for me, I recognized I had something to say. I needed to say it. The only way to say it is to actually step into it. I had to extend my boundary out, but at the same time, step into it. Bring it a little closer. Bring it closer still. But respect my boundary. So that's the first order of business. If you want to step into your authenticity, establish your boundaries, know where they are. If you feel that they need to change and move and extend, absolutely. You're in control of your boundaries. Never let anyone else disrupt your boundaries. And if you need help with your boundaries, look to somebody that you trust and say, hey, listen, when this happens, it feels icky. I don't like the way I feel. Honor that. Absolutely honor that. So we're going to go to point 2. Point 2 is to honor your journey. Your journey. By a show of hands, how many are the first to be going to college or graduate school in their family? Look around. That's amazing. An amazing accomplishment. Is there a lot of pressure from your families? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. We feel it. We know that pressure. It makes it very, very challenging for us because we have all of these expectations that are put on us from a young age. Why can't you be more like your brother or sister, cousin, friend, somebody else, correct? Everybody had that at one point or another? Yep, absolutely. What other things? Oh, why can't you get good grades like someone else? Why can't you be your idea? Was it your idea or somebody else's? The self-doubt, the doubt of others. Everything that matters to your family should matter to you. That's a big one. Or the sacrifices that your family made for your benefit. And then the last one, which is always the killer one, is that simply, why can't you? Fill in the end, why can't you? This becomes the yardstick by which we start to measure ourselves. Yeah, that's a lot of expectations on us. They're exhausting. They're absolutely exhausting. Especially generational. And for generational, I had that. My grandparents immigrated to this country in 1952 with nothing. I'm sure a lot of you can relate to that in some manner, shape, or form. Growing up, I heard all of the stories about the war and how they had nothing and how they needed to survive. I understood their sacrifice, absolutely. I was extremely grateful, and one of the reasons that I went to college was that I could be the first one in my family to go to college and graduate from college. Some might say I did it for them. I'll tell you this, the night I sat with my grandparents telling them all about my first year, so proud, so happy. I was taking art and painting and literature and all these wonderful courses. You know where I'm getting at. You know exactly where I'm getting. I was so thrilled. I felt like I opened up from high school, because high school was so regimented and science and tech so it was bad. But college, I got to make choices. I got to make choices, and I got to do all these wonderful classes. Oh, my grandfather didn't like that. You're not gonna go anywhere with that. I immigrated to this country so that you can be an art student. His disappointment hit me like a ton of bricks. Here I was going to college. I was going to be the first in my family. I was so ridiculously proud. And in that split second, it just washed away from me. Because I felt his judgment and I felt his disappointment. And that was stacked on top of other things throughout my life that I realized that my grandparents had done to me. Unintentionally. I love my grandparents to death, don't misunderstand me. But where they were coming from, at least you have shoes to wear on your feet. At least you have. It was a very common saying in my household. And I remember when I came home from school, I was in the 3rd grade, my best friend, Mary Jane, told me that day that she was no longer my friend, and she is now friends with someone else. And I remember being so hurt. And I came home, my grandmother was there, and I told her this, and she said, "You'll get other friends." No, that didn't make me feel any better, not at all. What it taught me was to keep how I feel to myself, because it will never, ever compare to the hardships that they went through. So I now had generational trauma. Didn't know it when I was 3 or when I was in the 3rd grade. But yeah, when I went through betrayal with my husband, all of those micro betrayals started to stack up. And I suddenly realized that a lot of the things that I was experiencing and taking blame for were generational. I had nothing to do with the war. I didn't. I'm sorry. And I know that you went through it, and I know it was hard for you. But that's what it is. It was hard for you. It's not supposed to be hard for me. You're not supposed to splatter that all over me. So I invite you that when you have those situations where you are feeling compared, or that you're feeling the judgment of others, whether it's your parents, your grandparents, your friends, your family, whatever it might be, know the source. Know where it's coming from. Don't take it on. It's not your burden to carry. You can honor it. You can always honor their journey. But I invite you to honor your own journey. You are here for a reason. You are absolutely loved, and you are seen, and you are heard. Step out of that family trauma, that family legacy that's weighing you down. Okay? Now, the third thing in how to embrace your authenticity is communication. Yes, we need to learn how to talk to one another. It's very, very challenging now because most of us love our phones. Our phones, boy, yeah, they're always with us. We feel lost without them. And we communicate through them. They make communication so much easier. Have you ever written text and realized, maybe I should have said good morning or good afternoon or hi, rather than barking out a thing, whether that's a question or that's a statement. We do it automatically. And then we catch ourselves and we're like, wait a second, a pleasantry. Hey, how are you? How's it going? Things of that nature. But we lose sight of that because we are slowly losing the ability to communicate to each other, to carry on a conversation. You know it. Sometimes you have a conversation with someone and they're on their phone. They're looking at their phone like they're multitasking while you are right there in front of them. You want to see something very interesting? Any restaurant you go to, pause, take a look around. And you will see what? People sitting right next to each other, everybody on their phone. Yes, yes, and it's like, hello, can you focus on the person that's right in front of you? Right in front of you. I giggle all the time. I have it in my own house. I do. The 6 of us go out to eat, and I'll look around the table and 5 of them are on their phones. And they're texting each other. And I'm like, hello? Put down the phone, have a conversation. You'd be surprised, we're losing that art of just being able to communicate with one another. And what we lose sight of in text is tone. You send something and you get 4 letters back. 4 letters back. Yeah, do we know what those letters are? It starts with an F. Fine. Ooh, that one is the killer one. Because you don't know what they mean by that. Fine. 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 You don't have the tone. You have no idea. So in my household, the word fine has been stricken from text messaging. You are not allowed to say that. Okay, that's the first order of business. So I invite you to strike it from your conversations that you have with people as well via text. The other thing with text messages, again, we lose tone in them, but we also lose not only being personable, but we lose the understanding. Have you ever had to explain a text message to someone?
That was a big sigh.
All the time, yes. So we spend so much time explaining what we sent via text. Whereas if we had a conversation and I said something and I put my foot in my mouth, because I am notorious for putting my foot in my mouth and I shove it really far deep sometimes. I just do. And I can tell based on people's reactions, ooh, that didn't land quite right. Let me explain what I mean. Okay?
It makes it worse.
Usually it does. Usually it does. Exactly. We struggle with that. Whereas if we have a conversation, whether that conversation is face to face, whether that conversation is on the phone, ooh, that's a lost art. Talking to somebody on the phone. Even in a work setting, that phone starts to collect dust. You know, it's so much easier to do that. I invite you every once in a while, at least once a day, get up from your chair, walk over to somebody else's cubicle and say hi.
It's so hard.
It is, it's ridiculously hard. You know why? Because I guarantee you're interrupting them while they're doing this. Okay? I'm going to speak many years ago when leaders of organizations would ban phones at work. They thought they could curb this new phenomenon of the iPhone and the Android and the pen and the this and the that and the top. They were seeing everybody's top of their head. Oh, no personal calls at work, no personal phones at work. You know, you can text on your lunch break. Well, suddenly now they give you phones because that's how everybody communicates with one another. I still haven't solved the problem. Everybody's looking at each other's forehead. Yes. So we have lost the art of communication, of talking. So I invite you at least once a day, put down the phone, get up, talk to somebody, call them. Speak to them and move beyond just the pleasantries. How are you? We have a few words in the English language that are the most beautiful words in the English language. Do you know what they are? Do you want to know what they are? Alrighty. First one is your name. Your name is the most beautiful word in the English language. You cannot tell me that when you are in a crowd of people and you hear your name being called, are they calling me? Ooh, not me, not Vanessa. Oh, there's the other Vanessa. Where is she? Where is she? We want to see the other Vanessa. We want to see the other person that has the most beautiful word in the English language. The second most beautiful word in the English language, and could be second, third, fourth, fifth, depending on how many children you have. Your children's names are the most beautiful word in the English language. We love to hear our children's names. So I invite you, when you're walking and you see somebody, hi, say their name. If you don't know their name, ask them their name. It's okay. I have to ask names all the time because I'm really bad with names. I really am. I truly am. It's a skill that I'm desperately trying to work on. But when I do it, and I say, Sandra, thank you so much for having me. It means so much that I said her name rather than, thank you for having me. Our name. Then, if you really want to make somebody's day, ask them about their children. By name, not how are your kids, you know? How's Cooper? Thank you for asking. Because it shows empathy. It shows that you care in that moment in time. I'm not asking for a whole dissertation. I'm not asking for you to really get into it. I'm just saying, let's have that conversation in a pleasant way that really connects with the other person. Make eye contact, look at them. Because I can tell you this, and we know this. You give a little bit, get some back. You really do. And if you don't, if you feel that you're constantly making effort, and you're not getting any back, well, that's your boundary. Now you've put your boundary up in place, okay? I know where you are. And that's what we need to know from each other. That's the bottom line of everything, is we need to know from each other who we are, standing in ourselves. Because I can tell you this, when you set a boundary and you honor your journey, who you are, and you communicate that boundary and who you are, initially some people will be like, oh, there's a lot going on there. Wow, she's got the pink streak in her hair. Geez, I don't quite know, kind of thing. But I invite you to be curious. Learn a little bit more. Then decide. And move back and say, you know what? Okay, I can do this, I can get this, I can get behind that. I can extend the ruler out all the way. Boundary, you're still there, but I need you to back up a little bit. Or I can retract it and allow my boundary to come closer to me. It's still there, but I can invite you in. And how I invite you in is by communicating and saying things to you that express, hey, I see you, I hear you, you matter. We all just want to matter. And that is the downfall of social media, because with its filters and everything else, it's a false sense of who people are. False. It is not authentic. We want it to be authentic, but it's not. So we want to be able to step into who we're meant to be. We need to surround ourselves with people who see us just as we are and accept us for who we are. Because that is the ultimate gift we can give to each other, is to see each other, to acknowledge each other, to work together, to play together, and to move forward. So I invite you to absolutely step into who you are meant to be. I'd like to see you live your life by your own design, with purpose and on purpose. So with that being said, I'd love to close with just one final thought. Chestnut brown eyes looked at me this morning and said, "You're speaking at Columbia?" And I said, yes I am. And he said, "I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you, Vanessa." He too learned to step into who he was meant to be. And I still love him for it. Thank you so much. To remember not to be measured up, not to measure up to other people's expectations, and to set your boundary rulers for you, just to keep in mind. It is a visual that if you put it on your desk, you remember, Vanessa said to be my authentic self. You can step into who you are meant to be. I encourage you to do so. Please grab a couple. You're more than welcome to them. Thank you so much for the opportunity. Sandra, Lisa, Clara, everyone else, thank you so much.
Thank you.